Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know if you can hear it in the sound of my voice. I got a little scratch, a little itch in my throat. I'm coming down with a sickness because I have the itch for the Switch It Up show. I am diagnosed, doctor approved for this show this evening. Now, I might be a little under the weather because I'm frightened, ladies and gentlemen. I'm terrified. I'm terrified of the years for fears here on the Preach Network that Mr. Seth Trav, who's my wonderful co-host, of course, for this episode of the Switch It Up Show. How are you?
I'm okay.
Beautiful.
I'm well. You're doing a magnificent job of showcasing all the phenomenal shows we have here over on the Preach Network.
Well, I just wanted to make sure that people know that there is a cornucopia of entertainment available at your fingertips. If you got iTunes, the Google Play, Player FM, Spotify, iHeartRadio, the list goes on and on. SoundCloud, we are everywhere. But you know what? We want to be where you are. So make sure you go ahead, like, comment, subscribe, do all of those things. But first, enjoy these sweet, sweet tunes before we get started right here on the Switch It Up Show. I'm sorry, I know we say it every episode, but that music is it's never not fun. Never.
It's not. It's always so good.
It's always the best of times, my man. Best to say what I did with that?
Anamana Gucci, ladies and gentlemen.
That's it.
And my guy, I gotta jump right in.
Okay, go ahead. You take it away, Mr. Setrap.
Because I have been waiting for this game since it was announced on, I don't even remember how long it's been. It feels like I've waited at least a year, maybe more, to talk about Disgaea 4. Complete Plus. It is coming out October 29th, 2019, and it costs $49.99 when you purchase it digitally. You can also get an amazing build of a special, hardcore fans of this game edition physically. Pick it up if you love it as much as I pretty much do. There's also a demo available. Try it out. Learn a little about tactics RPGs through Disgaea. The ultimate Disgaea has arrived. Hell-raising action and a horde of special features await you in this tale of fiery revolution. When the ruling powers of Hades are revealed to be corrupt, Valvatores must spark a rebellion to bring them down. Armed to the teeth with dynamic, over-the-top gameplay and a horde of special features, this is the ultimate Disgaea. So, the story revolves around this guy who used to be a tyrant, an ultimate tyrant, Valvatores. He is essentially a Dracula that has an awesome bodyguard, butler-type werewolf guy named Fenrir, I think his name is. Fenrir? I've spent 20 hours with the game. It's still not done, but it's been 20 hours in 2 days, ladies and gentlemen. 10 hours a day for this one, because I dig it so much. Such a big fan of this series. They kept things fairly similar to all of the other Disgaea games, or Disgaea. I still never really know how I'm supposed to pronounce it. But it's a standard sort of tactics RPG where you go around the map, you have certain squares that you're able to move on. If you played Disgaea 1 complete, you will know that the throwing is not in angles. You can't throw anywhere. You have to throw in straight lines, front, back, left, or right. That stays in 4, unfortunately. 5 is the one where it adds that up. The music is great, as always. I feel like it's mixed a little weird, though, with the voices. The voice acting sounds like it's straight out of Funimation, I love it. It's incredibly voice acted as always. It's kind of hard to say what this game is overall leaning towards. It's more of a political storyline. They have it something called a campaign, where you go in and instead of having just regular senators, you can sort of take over a map and keep placing people all over this fake map of the underworld to sort of gain your power back, things like that, gain favor, purchase more weapons, stronger weapons, cheaper weapons, new areas, new power-ups, new team members, things like that, all through this campaign. The item world is back. You're going to spend a lot of time in item world, mainly because that's where you can do a lot of battles to get your equipment better and to level up your characters, because like with all of these games, it will all of a sudden drastically get much more difficult. I'm sure there's probably a strategy that you could follow, but my strategy is always level up the characters, because you can go up to level 9999. I've never done it. I've never seen it happen. I mean, I've seen it happen, but I'm not doing it myself. I've got too many other great games to keep going on about. One of the neat new features in this one, even though it's a re-release, is that they have mutations, or not mutations, fusions, just like DBZ, where two characters can fuse together, and most times it's just one character becomes bigger, like a giant version of that character. But sometimes you get cool, actual fusion-looking things, which is awesome. It's just designed to give you more power-ups. You can do the weapon transforming, where I believe they call it magic change. So you can add more power there and see awesome weapons. The over-the-top special moves are back. All the cool finishers. All the cool team-up moves. And this one adds back the ability to skip the animations, so that way you can keep the battles going a lot quicker, which I loved. Something about it does feel a little underwhelming, which, you know, it's a shame. I feel like the menu system, again, could be better. It just feels like there's parts of it that don't have as much polish. The camera doesn't necessarily feel like there's enough distance to it, and you can adjust the distance, but it always feels either too close or too far away. It's a little nitpicky. The animations are all fluid, great animation, anime style stuff, and again, the voice acting is really good. Because of all of that, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to give Disgaea 4 Complete Plus a 4.5 out of 5.
It's a high mark, my man. It's a high mark.
It is a high mark. I've waited so long to play this game. And again, it's taken me 20 hours, and I know that it will probably take me another 20 hours more, because I've hit a bunch of those alternate endings that this game is known for, and unfortunately it does make you sort of start all over again. But at that point, I just, kind of skip through a lot of the cutscenes and everything. But, it's still got that fun tongue-in-cheek humor. You learn all about the Prinnies, those penguin people, and how they're like human souls and whatnot. It's a great, fun story. We're going to get gameplay video of it up on the 29th. But until then, enjoy the sounds of the review. And as always, thank you to our wonderful partners over at NIS America.
Yeah, those people are absolutely wonderful. Always hooking us up. And actually, speaking of getting the hookup, we were also, taken care of by the fine folks that bring us the Ghostbusters Remastered over at Saber Interactive. So everybody kind of helping out the Switch It Up show. Really did not think, because we're a small group. We're homegrown network here on the Preach Network, and I did not.
Got some downspun podcasting for you,
right? Well, hey, I'm just saying we're not, we're not exactly spending all the advertising money,
America,
okay? Yeah,
or anything like that,
So when I saw that we were able to feature this on the show, I was super happy, because I'm sure, like many of you, Ghostbusters has a huge place, in my heart. Big part of growing up as a young boy. Ghostbusters.
We mention it all the time.
Oh my gosh. Ghostbusters is near and dear to pretty much everyone's heart. And we all wanted like a third movie. Everybody was always like, oh, when are they going to make Ghostbusters 3? When is it going to happen? And basically, that's kind of what you get with this Ghostbusters game when it came out about 10 years ago at this point, believe it or not, which is kind of crazy. When this game came out, originally came out for the PS3, the Xbox 360, and believe it or not, the Wii. The Wii got a version of it as well, but the Wii's game was a little bit different. This is more of a remastered version of the PS3 version. And just to be fair, this game was played on PS4. However, we of course are lucky enough to have this on the Nintendo Switch. But for the review purposes that we did for this game, we were provided a PS4 copy of it. So my experience is drawn strictly from my experience with the PS4. But because this is also on the Switch, I wanted to make sure that you guys know kind of like what this game is like and kind of like how it feels. Switch still does a good job with many of new release games. Overwatch is on the Switch now, so it's kind of crazy what the Switch can still pull off. It's not exactly as like I don't know, it's not as maybe hampered like as the Wii was back in the day. So let me hit you with a little bit of the synopsis here, if my voice will allow me to get through it. The beloved and critically acclaimed Ghostbusters video game is back and remastered for Nintendo Switch. Strap on your Proton Pack once again and join the Ghostbusters on the adventure with the voice and likeness of the original crew as you battle to save New York. The authentic Ghostbusters experience includes the voices and likenesses of Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, Harold Ramis, and Ernie Hudson in the original story penned by the writers of the original films, Dan Aykroyd and Harold Ramis. So they actually sat down and wrote the story for this game, and of course lend their voices and likeness into the game itself. It has unique gameplay, experience unique ghost hunting, wrangling and trapping with upgradable weapons in widely destructible environments. Test the team's metal with large-scale boss fights, and it has a storyline campaign. Play through a unique storyline as the player battles and captures ghosts, both well-loved and brand new throughout New York City. Basically what happens is that you are dropped down into the world of the Ghostbusters themselves as a new recruit, and it is up to you to kind of prove yourself and aid them as ghosts kind of start to appear in New York City. And there are...
Start out with you sliding down the pole in the firehouse.
That's the very, very first thing that I did. One of the very first things that I did in the gameplay when I did this. There is gameplay of this over on our YouTube, so you should be able to go and check it out. I will link to it in the show notes. Yes, you can slide down the fire pole. While you're in there, you can also say hello to Vigo. His painting is there as well, which is super cool. He says like 12 lines. So bunch of little call outs to the original films in here for sure. And basically you kind of like hit the ground running on this, and it's very much tutorial as you play. Ray will usually break down how the different gear works, and it's up to you to kind of use your newfound ghost hunting techniques in order to save the day when the time calls. And of course, being able to have everybody's voice in there really lends to the experience. There's a pretty good amount of cutscenes, but not quite as many as I would hope. Just because I really do want that like kind of movie feel to it. But it is a video game, so what do you expect? They mentioned that it has unique ghost hunting, and they're not kidding. It's a little weird, I feel like, in how you have to hunt the ghosts. You have to kind of think of the Proton Pack as more or less a laser. Or if you happen to play Destiny, like our game, there's a couple weapons where you shoot a laser and it kind of wears down these enemies over time, and you have to, if your Proton Pack gets too hot, you have to stop and you have to vent it so that it'll cool down and then you continue to shoot, otherwise it'll overheat and it'll freeze for a few seconds. But it's strange because these ghosts, you feel like you're just kind of running around for a while, hitting them with the Proton Pack, working on their health, and just... it's kind of like rinse and repeat like that for a while. They do feature an upgradable weapon system in this game, and it is something you definitely want to take advantage of. It's not really like sometimes they have that in the game, and you're like, oh, I might want to do this. No, you're definitely going to need to do this. Otherwise, you're going to be running around shooting these ghosts, and it feeling like it's like it just takes forever if you don't go through and upgrade it. So make sure that after you complete certain missions that you go through, use some of those points to go through and upgrade your weapons. Otherwise, it's going to get very repetitive, and you don't want that to kind of like take away from the story of the actual game, which is really, really fun. I played this game when it originally came out, and to be able to play it again on the on the PS4 in this case, or being able to play it on the Nintendo Switch, super awesome to be able to check that out and try it out once more. I am a little. There are certain parts of this that, since they mentioned it's remastered, certain parts of this look great. Other parts of it, it struggles a little bit, and I feel like that's a little. I mean, they mentioned that it's remastered, so I mean they can only do so much. But it didn't look quite as good as I was hoping it to look overall. I was expecting some of the character, like face models and stuff, to kind of clean up with age, but that is not the case. Sometimes they didn't look so great. And I played
aged with them.
Yeah, and I played on the PS4, so I would expect the PS4 one to look, better than the Switch one. But we'll have to find out. That being said, the gameplay itself is solid. You just got to make sure that you spend some of those experience points that you get as you go to kind of make it a little bit better for you. I do think the graphics look good. I love the ghosts. I love the fact that you get to use the PKE meter and the goggles to go through and discover all the different ghosts and write them down in your spirit guide. I think that's really cool. So there's a lot of cool little collectibles and things to unlock in this game. A lot of gameplay, and the story is great. So you really can't fault it for any of that. It's just a game that you have to make sure that you are managing your points so you can get the most out of it. So this is a game where you have to play it, and you have to play it the way that it's kind of meant to be played so that you really have the best time. But there's nothing to take away with that. It's all positive stuff here on the Switch It Up show. This game is, like I said, is really, really good. Awesome kind of just like action adventures, like set with Ghostbusters. I feel like if I had to give this a score, I feel like you're going to give this at least, you got to give this like a 4.5. This is a fun game. This is a good story. This is a story-driven game. If you're a Ghostbusters fan, you're going to love this game. If you're not a Ghostbusters fan, it might seem more like a little bit of run-of-the-mill to you. But for me, as somebody who grew up loving the Ghostbusters and still does, this game is awesome. And up until recently, the closest we were going to get to another Ghostbusters movie, although they're working on the newest Ghostbusters movie. So
They are, in fact. Paul Rudd's attached.
Of course he is. He's in everything.
He's in so many things.
So we'll see where that goes. But if you're looking for more Ghostbusters and you haven't had a chance to play the Ghostbusters game yet, I strongly recommend that you check it out. Being able to play it on the Switch, like handheld, while you're just relaxing in bed, doesn't really get much better than that, my man.
No, God, no. It's the best. Absolutely love the Switch.
Absolutely, my dude.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for us over here on the Switch It Up show. Our friend Glenn has been your host. I have been Seth Trav. Together we are the Preachcast. Be sure to join us next time. Remember, if things ever start to get boring, you can always switch it up.